Hi, thank you very much for joining us at the University of Bristol for this student panel. My name is Laura Williams, and I'm going to give you a short introduction into the University of Bristol before we go into our student panel where you'll be able to ask your live questions. Next slide, please. So this webinar will last approximately 30 minutes, and I'm firstly going to share some information about Bristol in general, as I said, and then if you want to post any live questions that you have to our student panel, you can do so in the Q&A function on this chat. And we'll do our very best to get through all of your questions, and we do remind you, please don't share any personal information in your questions. It's also important to note that all of the questions and the information we're giving you is correct as of going online, which is November 2020. However, this information might change, so please do check on our website for the most up-to-date information. And it's important to note also that any questions you ask during this chat won't affect any applications to study with us at Bristol. So please do free to ask anything you'd like to. Next slide, please. So my name's Laura Williams. I work as a postgraduate recruitment officer at the University of Bristol, and I'm joined by some students who are current postgraduate students. So we have Lucy, Fionn, Jen and Rosie, and they'll be able to give you an insight into what it's like to be a student, and they work as student ambassadors with me at the University of Bristol. Next slide, please. So Bristol has a vibrant and artistic atmosphere and continues to win awards for culture, creativity, livability, and its green credentials. If you haven't been to Bristol before, it's really worth visiting when you're able to. It's regularly voted one of the best places to live in England, and in 2019 the BBC voted it the best place to live outside of London for under 26, and that looked at a lot of different metrics, including public transport, how good online access was, the cost of living, and entertainment. We also came third top for UK Culture and Creative City in the European Commission November 2019. So there's tons to do in Bristol. We get loads of really good gigs. There's loads of really good places to eat as well, and there's tons going on. So it's a really exciting city to study and live in. And in 2015, we were also the Green Capital, the European Green Capital, and Bristol was the first recipient of this award. And we've also had Greta Thunberg, who delivered a speech in the city last year. So it's a really thriving, innovative place to live. Bristol's also the capital of the Southwest, and the modern economy thrives on creative media, financial services, the environmental sector, aerospace engineering, and we've got a range of educational professional opportunities. So it's a really diverse city and a diverse sector where you can get employment afterwards as well. And it's got a growing reputation for entrepreneurship. So we do find that a lot of graduates who study with us do choose to live in Bristol after graduating. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about rankings. Sorry, if we can go back one, perfect, thank you. So why should you choose the University of Bristol? So as well as being a brilliant city to live in my own opinion, we also consistently rank in the world's top 100 universities, and we're a top 10 university in the UK league tables. So this draws on our strengths in both research and teaching. The university is a top 5 UK university research university. That was by the records in 2014, which was the last time it was run. And we're also part of the Russell Group universities. We're one of the most popular UK universities, and our graduates are also among the most sought after by employers across the globe. So they have a really good reputation, and the degree from Bristol holds really strong in the employment market. The university itself continually invests in cutting-edge technology, facilities and infrastructure, and we've invested in several multi-million-pound product developments over the last 5 years. So we have quite a new building, which is the Life Sciences building, and there's continual refurbishment and investment in libraries and other facilities across campus. We have 9 university libraries in total, which houses over 1.4 million volumes of printed books and journals, in addition to a huge range of online resources you can access. And we also have a really strong industry partnership, which means that our students have access to collaborative networks, training opportunities and resources. So both while they study here and after graduation, we continue to support our students. And our alumni are among the highest paid, and our graduates are among the top 5 most targeted by UK employers, according to High Flyers 2020. So it is a really good place to study, and it should hopefully help you with employment after graduation. So next slide, please. So these are the academic schools at Bristol. We have 6 schools. We do offer quite a diverse range of subjects and areas. We offer research and taught postgraduate programs, and there's 6 faculties at Bristol. So we have arts, engineering, health sciences, life sciences, science, and social sciences and law. So a taught postgraduate degree gives you the opportunity to expand on your undergraduate interests or branch out into a completely different field. It can also help you to specialise in a particular area, leading to a further study at doctoral level, or many choose to study for postgraduate taught qualification as a way of improving their career prospects and employability. The most taught programs at Bristol lead to a master's qualification. So, for example, an MA, an MSc, MRes, etc. And that combines taught units with research projects. So that's how taught masters is normally comprised. The program will normally last between 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time. We do have a couple that are 2 years full-time. And some subject areas you can also study for a postgraduate diploma or a certificate, depending on how long you want to study and in how much depth. So several of our programs have got a really flexible unit choice within the curriculum, and it opens up a range of topics, giving you a broad view of your subject. And in all of our subjects and programs we offer at Bristol, you can have a look on the website and it will give you an idea of what units have been available in previous years, so you can see how your taught degree would be structured. And we have almost 5,000 taught postgraduate students at Bristol from more than 100 countries. So it's a really diverse student body as well. And it's a really good place to start building networks, learning and discovering your full potential. So next slide, please. So we're now going to go into the student panel where you can ask the questions that matter to you. Our students have experience of being at Bristol, studying at Bristol, and living in the city, but also the experience recently with COVID. So if you've got any questions on how that's worked, they'd be more than happy to help you with that. So please keep popping your questions into the Q&A and we'll get through as many as we can. And don't forget, we've also got the Prospects live chat going on at the moment as well. So you can join us afterwards and speak to us if you have any other questions. Our booth also contains links to videos on finance, making your application. There's also a 360-degree virtual tour of the university if you'd like to have a look, and links to course pages and useful information. On top of this, we're just running our second week of open weeks at the University of Bristol, and we've had some really good chats and presentations from our academics and more student panels. So if you're looking for that in-depth academic information about what you'd study in the subjects, then please feel free to log into our website, bristol.ac.uk, and you can watch any of those videos back on demand so you can listen to our academics. So if we go to now, and I'll just have a look what questions have been coming in. So, okay, so please do continue to pop those in and we'll get through as many as we can. So the first question somebody would like to know is, what motivated you to study at postgraduate level? So Fionn, would you like to take that one for us, please?
My undergrad about going on to study in the future. I had thought that I was going to do a law degree, and there are a number of different ways to do that, but so principally it was for the future career, and I'm doing a course that specifically to in order to do that, so to go on to a career in law. I know I wanted to go somewhere different from where I had been for undergrad, and I'd always wanted to live in Bristol, so a number of reasons why, well, partly why Bristol, but also why to move on to a different place.
Brilliant, thank you. Has anyone else got any insight into what motivated you to study at postgraduate level? Any career aspirations that led you to that area?
Yeah, I would like to work in the conservation sector, which is quite a challenging area to get into. So to make sure I stand out from the crowd and I actually am employable in the sector, I chose to do postgraduate study to have a more in-depth knowledge of conservation and actually gain a career in this sector afterwards.
Brilliant. It's a really interesting degree that you're studying, actually, isn't it? You're part based up at Bristol Zoo, is that right, on a normal, typical year?
Yeah, so we do sessions at Bristol Zoo, which luckily this year I've still had the opportunity to attend a few. And we're also based at Langford campus mainly, so the vet school for Bristol.
Great. Brilliant, thank you. And perhaps would Lucy like to give a view from environmental policy and management?
So I chose to do a postgraduate because I did biology at undergrad, but I felt that I wanted to do a more focus on ecology and the environment. So this master's was a really good opportunity to just learn more in depth about the things I'm really passionate about. And the modules that this course offers at Bristol currently are things I'm really interested in. So that's partly why I chose to do postgraduate and also why I chose Bristol.
Brilliant, thank you. And Rosie, you're again doing MA Law, aren't you, in your first year? Have you got any sort of long-term career aspirations as to what motivated you to study? Or
so one of the reasons I chose Bristol is because it offers the MA Law rather than doing the graduate diploma or a senior status LLB. So it's progressing my studies whilst also again building towards a career in law. And I used to live and work in Bristol, so I kind of knew that Bristol was a university that I was really, really interested in.
brilliant, thank you. Yeah, so as Rosie's kind of touched on, we do have a number of conversion courses at Bristol. So we have the MA Law course, we also have experimental psychology and a computer science masters as well. So if you are looking to change your career prospects potentially, or completely train in a new subject, those are some really good courses to look at if you are looking at doing something different to your undergraduate degree. So thank you all. Continue please to pop your questions in and we can ask those. So the second question is, why did you choose the University of Bristol in particular? Did anyone do any research into degrees and postgraduate degrees? Yeah, Lucy, would you like to start on that one? You're nodding nicely.
Yeah. So I did my undergraduate at a different university. So it was quite a big decision to choose to move. So I did a lot of research into where I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to live in a bigger city than I had before, and Bristol is, in comparison to where I was, a lot bigger. It has a lot more going on. There's lots of independent restaurants and cafes, which I really love. And also the course that Bristol offer, at the moment, there's an...
Oh, we might have lost Lucy. Is that just my feed?
So I think the module... Am I back?
Yes, yeah, sorry, I'm not sure if it's my feed.
Sorry. Yeah, so the modules that Bristol offer for this course I'm doing at the moment was what mostly attracted me to Bristol.
Brilliant, thank you. Has anybody else got any reasons as to why you chose the University of Bristol in particular?
So my course, quite similarly, but a bit different. The module structure on my course is definitely unique. It's the only degree in the UK which offers those specific modules, and it allows you to kind of have an in-depth knowledge of every single area within conservation rather than just focusing on one in particular. And I think this is good because employers can see that you have experience in every single aspect of conservation, so you have an all-round approach. And also the connections with Bristol Zoo allow me to gain hands-on experience when possible. So I thought that was really good.
That's really good, yeah, important for your career. Fionn, did you want to add anything at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think similarly to Jenny and Lucy, the course was a big attraction, it being a unique course that Bristol does on the MA Law, but also Bristol attracted me because I really love the city. I'd been to visit a couple of times and found it a really lovely place to live. There's also a huge legal hub here, so studying law and being around a big legal network is a real advantage. And other aspects like, the reputation of the university and particularly the law school I knew about before. And along with that, all the other kind of extracurricular things that the university has. So, law clinic and law society that are really active as well, which, got me to choose here.
Great, thank you so much. So we'll move on to the next question, and then perhaps Rosie, you could give us insight into the next one. Someone would like to know what support's available to postgraduate students at Bristol. I know, Rosie, you're studying for distance at the moment due to COVID. Is that right?
Yeah, I am. I've done my whole course this year online, and I have found the support has been really, really good. So where I've had issues or questions or anything, my lecturers have been more than willing to set up meetings with me to talk about them, whether they address the questions in class or I can have a virtual kind of office hours session with them so that they can provide the help and the support that's needed, because the step up from undergraduate to postgraduate study can be quite big. So it's a very different kind of learning environment. Mm. And I know that the university does have lots of other kind of avenues of support should they be needed that are all available online, as well as some of them being available in person at the moment as well.
Great, thank you. And Fionn, you're in your second year of postgraduate study at the moment, so you've experienced it with the COVID and also on a normal typical year. Have you got any experiences from the non-COVID year at all of accessing support?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like Rosie was saying, our tutors are really accessible. We've got personal tutors for every student. So obviously last year we'd go to their office hours, which was nice, but they're obviously just as contactable now by email or with Zoom meetings. There's also quite a lot of mentor schemes that run via the law school, via our course. So I believe they were in operation last year, and I've been using them this year to speak to people who've gone on to do things, to have future careers in law, and to get in touch with them. And the other postgraduate networks as well are really active as well in keeping students especially at the moment, keeping students having social contact. But obviously last year we were able to do more kind of socials and mixes and things, which were really good.
Yeah, definitely. Have you used the career service at all?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I use their website quite a lot. They have a good kind of employability and do a lot of kind of roundup emails and things to tell you about events that are going on within your kind of areas of interest and the school and beyond that as well. So yeah, I have used them a fair bit.
Brilliant, thank you. So we'll move on to the next question. How have you found the transition from undergraduate to postgraduate study? And have you got any advice or sort of golden tips that you would give anybody for the transition and how to adjust? So Jenny or Lucy, could you perhaps give some insight into those areas?
Yeah. One thing that I think surprised me is the number of contact hours or online for my course in particular didn't really increase. It's the number of reading around the subject hours that increases. So you need to make sure that you're prepared to do a lot of extra reading around the subjects. And that's how you really benefit from the modules. I would also say, as soon as you get assignments, try and start them straight away. At undergraduate, I used to fall into the trap of thinking, I have a month for this assignment, I'll start later on. But as soon as you get an assignment in a master's, just start researching straight away. Make sure you don't leave it to the last minute, and make sure you do a lot of extra reading around your subject so you have a wider understanding.
That's really good advice. Yeah, I think undergraduate is kind of like everybody does it, don't they? They leave it last minute, and then postgraduate is much harder to do that. Lucy, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that at all?
Yeah, I think what Jenny said is really true, that it is mostly a step up in terms of reading. I've especially found that because my master's is slightly more humanitarian based than my undergrad was. It was very sciencey before. So I have struggled quite a bit with trying to just keep on top of the reading. But one of the things I found really helpful is not being afraid to ask questions when you have them, and also just to ask your course mates if they understand certain topics, because often I found that things that I don't understand, everyone else is also struggling with, and talking through it can really help. And it also helps you get to know the people on your course as well, which has been really important, especially this year.
That's really good. Yeah, I suppose that support in that cohort is really important, definitely. What about Rosie, how have you found it? So you've obviously changed subject area as well.
Yeah, and I had 5 years in industry, not in law, but I had 5 years working prior to starting my postgraduate studies. So it's definitely been a bit of a shock to the system, going back to kind of having to remember how to write essays and take notes when reading and all of that kind of stuff. But it's been a really enjoyable challenge. So it is definitely. And I feel like this, I did a very arts-based undergraduate degree, so it was a little bit easier for me to kind of push things back and put them off, which is definitely not possible now. But it's been really, really enjoyable. I can't remember what the question was. Sorry.
Just about the transition, that's okay, from UG to PG, and whether you had any advice. Did you do much preparation before starting your masters?
I didn't, because I was working until August.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's advice. Don't know, really.
That's okay. I think you've given an excellent answer. If you haven't got anything extra, so I won't put you on the spot anymore. Brilliant, thank you. So the fifth question is, have you been able to work alongside your studies, and is it manageable? So Fionn, you've got a couple of, or nearly 2 years experience now. Have you been working alongside studying?
Yeah, I have pretty much the whole of the course. I started working with the PG ambassadors last November, I think. It is definitely manageable. I think if you're somebody that can, prioritize your time and manage your workload, you will keep on top of it. One thing I would say is ideally you want to have a job that is flexible so that you can choose your hours to work around your study. Obviously, at the moment, while we're working online, the working hours are a little bit more flexible. But when you're able to adjust how much work you're doing depending on how much study you're doing, that is definitely beneficial. And the other thing I would say is, not to overload yourself when you first start. Obviously, when you're a student, you may need to work to balance the books and things, but not to overload yourself to begin with. So, see how it works the first few weeks. How much work have you got? How many contact hours? What kind of job will suit you around that time management sort of way of going about things?
Yeah, definitely. I think the good thing about the PG student ambassador role is it is so flexible. You can not work one week if you've got too much on academically, and then you can do more hours with us later on. So that's really good. Lucy, have you found the same? Obviously, you're kind of new into the master's program, but have you managed to balance the sort of needs okay?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important not to try and take on too much at once, and it is good to just let yourself settle in. I do have friends who are doing the same course who have actually chosen to do it part-time, and I think that's something worth considering if you do think you're going to have to do a lot of work in terms of earning money, as well as the work you have to study, because part-time you still do the same modules, but you just spread them out over 2 years. So I think that's a really good thing to consider, and it's something that I didn't really realise was an option, so I just chose to do the full-time one. So I think that it's really good to be aware that that is something you can do as well if you're hoping to do a part-time job at the same time as your studies.
That's really good advice, yeah. And a lot of our postgraduate talk programs do allow you to do part-time or full-time. Just double check on the program page to see whether your program of interest allows that. But yeah, that's a really good point that you can space it out if you need to, and you need that extra income to support you during your studies. We've got another question is, how did you find, settling into the University of Bristol? Jenny, would you like to give any insight into that, please?
So I've been working from home and travelling in for in-person lectures and practicals. So my experience has mainly been online. But before the course started, I made sure I reached out to all of the people that were going to be on my course and made a group chat on different types of social media, which is a really good way of getting to know people before you start and just asking questions. For example, asking them how they're planning on preparing for the course so you don't feel as daunted or like you're not preparing enough yourself. I do have a lot of synchronous online lectures where all of my classmates are there, so you can see them face to face, and they use breakout groups a lot in my course. So you're constantly put into groups of 4 or 5 to discuss different topics. And also I've had to come up with some group presentations from home and deliver them. So all of this has allowed me to really get to know my course mates, even though I'm doing it virtually. So I've really appreciated the different methods that the university have put in place to still allow you to be a part of the team rather than feeling like you're on your own because you're doing it from home. So
that's really good. That's really important that you still feel that.
Yeah.
Fionn, on a non-COVID year in your experience, did you go to things like freshers fairs and did you do lots of activities to settle into Bristol, to cast your mind back a year ago?
Yeah, I definitely did. I remember the Freshers' Fair here on the Downs and thinking how horribly muddy it was, but it was, it's still a really good event. And hopefully in future years, they'll be able to do those in person again. I think that with settling in and things, I was quite lucky in that I already knew the people who I was going to live with. So I had some friends that happened to be moving to Bristol at the same time. So I was lucky in that sense, but getting sort of yourself sorted ahead of time with, where you're going to live and what kind of things you're going to need to put in place is really good idea. But I think I got to know the people on my course quite quickly once it started, partly having sort of mixers and things that partly at the course set up, but that you then meet people and we have a big course group chat and things. So very quickly you get into the swing of it and you get to know who's around.
That's really good. It's great being able to do that, with the in-person perspective and then doing it with the social media groups, like you did, Jenny. And we also, the accommodation office, arrange a house search event. They have done previously. Hopefully in the future they'll do the same. But in August, if you are moving to Bristol and you need to find housemates, they'll invite you to come down to Bristol, stay in halls for a couple of nights. You meet people and then you go and view houses together to rent. So that's a really nice option if you are moving to the city and you're looking for rented accommodation. There's also more information on the website about accommodation and approved landlord suppliers and everything. So when you get down the line and you are looking at that resource is available to you as well. We've got a couple more questions to get through. If anybody has got any live questions, please do pop them in the chat and we will answer them for you. So you've touched on this already a little bit, but how have you found networking and making connections during your postgraduate study? So I know it's been quite different for some of you. Rosie, seeing as you've been sort of studying virtually, could you give us an insight into how you've managed that with the MA Law first year?
So we have, kind of like everyone's mentioned already, we have a big group chat that has kind of everybody or most of the people that are on the course, and everyone keeps kind of up to date on things like that with various questions that we've got. So it's probably one of the key ways that we've kind of got to know each other this year. And then, I mean, I can only speak for my school on this part, but I'm sure other schools have done it as well. But they've organised kind of lots of events where you can get to know other people who are part of your school who aren't necessarily doing your course, so you wouldn't necessarily come across them kind of in your lectures and things like that as well. So there's been lots of kind of like virtual tea and coffees and things like that you can go along to if you want to get to know other people. And then also kind of industry connections. Some of the like the Law Society have done some networking events and things already that have been virtual, where you kind of get to kind of via Zoom and things like that get to start making your industry connections as well.
That's great, thank you. It's important to be able to do that still. Another nice question is, so we'll probably ask each of you to contribute on this one. Oh, we've just got a live question that's come in actually. How was your application process? How did you find the process of applying for your postgraduate degree? Do any of you want to come in on that one?
I think it was really important to do quite a lot of research to make sure that the course you're choosing is definitely the right course, because there were quite a few different courses I was looking at that were similar but slightly different, and making sure that the course is really, really the right one that you want to do, because you're not necessarily going to go on and then do further study after you've done your master's.
That's really good, yeah. Lucy or Jenny, do you have any insight into the application process and how you found it?
I think it's really important to take your time when actually filling out the application as well, and making sure that you're doing all the things that you need to do exactly how they've been asked to do them. I had to have 2 references as well for mine, so making sure that you ask the people that you want well in advance so that they have time to write a good reference for you and upload that, so that you don't end up missing out because someone else hasn't done something that you asked them to do.
That's a good tip. Jenny, any extra tips that you'd like to give?
I'd say the application process for my course wasn't very lengthy. It doesn't actually take much time. It's about filling it in correctly and getting the references ahead of time so you actually have time to submit it. I think the most crucial part is the personal statement and making sure that really shows your passion for the course. So don't rush your personal statement. I probably spent too long on mine, but you need to be happy with it. It needs to show your passion for the course and why you're choosing to do it, because grades alone are great, but you need to show that you're actually passionate about the subject to be able to get a place.
Yeah, brilliant. On each of the programs on our website, if you click on the program name, there's a section called admission statement. If you click on that, it can be a little bit hidden, but if you click on that, it will give you a PDF document, and it explains exactly what we're looking for in your application at Bristol, all of the different contents for your application that we need, like how many references do we need, do you need to supply a personal statement, and it also tells you about how we select people from the application, so whether we interview for the places or if there's anything extra that we need in your application to assess you. So it's definitely worth reading the admission statement in full before applying as well. The other good thing is that you can start an application, save it, and come out of it. You don't need to submit it all at once. So as everybody said, you can take your time on it, check it, recheck it again before submitting it, and then just double check on the deadlines as well. So again, each program has a different deadline. Some of our courses do close early if we have enough applications and they're full. So just keep an eye on that application deadline. And then as soon as you've started an application and selected your program of interest, it will also update you if the application deadline changes as well, which is really good. So yeah, definitely some really good tips. So that's all of the questions that we've got in. So a massive thank you to the panel. If we pop back into the slides so you know how to contact us. That would be brilliant. Perfect. So there's our contact details to keep in touch. You can also always email us on choosebristol-pg@bristol.ac.uk. and you can drop in any time. Obviously, we're going to be on the Prospects Fair booth, so you can come in and chat to us on that. And then, as I said, please do check the PG Open Week's webpage if you want to rewatch any of the webinars with our academics. And there's some really good content on there. And we've also got some student panels going on. So definitely check those out. But a huge thank you for joining us today. Thank you to all of our panelists as well for giving up their time and their perspective on studying at Bristol. And we hope to see you soon. So thanks very much.